Have you ever heard of a man who lived in the desert, dressed in rough camel's hair and ate nothing but wild honey and locusts? He didn't care about fashion, wealth, or status. His one mission? To prepare the way for Jesus. This man was John the Baptist. John was no ordinary man. Even before he was born, his life was special. An angel told his parents, Zechariah and Elizabeth, that their son would be filled with the Spirit of God and would have a great purpose to prepare people for the coming of the Messiah. As John grew, he chose a simple, even harsh life. He lived in the wilderness, far from towns and comfort. His clothes were rough. His food was simple, locusts and wild honey. But people weren't drawn to him for what he wore or ate. They came for his message. John's voice rang out like a trumpet across the desert. He called people to turn away from their sins, to change their hearts, and to live in a way that honored God. He spoke about love, honesty, fairness, and humility. And he made it clear. Being religious wasn't enough. What mattered was living a life that reflected God's goodness. He didn't just preach, he acted. At the Jordan River, John baptized people in water, a sign that they were turning away from their old ways and starting fresh. Crowds came from all over, villages, towns, even Jerusalem, to see him and hear him speak. Even the religious leaders came to hear him, and John wasn't afraid to speak the truth. He told them, "Don't just pretend to be good, show it in the way you live." He called out greed, dishonesty, and hypocrisy, reminding everyone that God cares about what's in our hearts, not just what we appear to do. But John always made one thing clear. He was not the Messiah. He said, "Someone greater is coming after me. I'm not even worthy to untie his sandals." His mission? To point people to Jesus, to prepare them for the Savior who would change everything. And then one day, it happened. Jesus himself came to the Jordan River. John recognized him immediately. When Jesus asked John to baptize him, John was shocked. "I should be baptized by you," he said. But Jesus insisted. It was part of God's plan. So John baptized Jesus in the river. And in that moment, the heavens opened. The Spirit of God descended like a dove, and a voice from heaven said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased." John had pointed the world to Jesus. John's mission didn't end there. He continued preaching fearlessly, even to powerful rulers. He told King Herod that his actions were wrong and sinful, that courage came with a price. Herod had John arrested and thrown into prison. Even there, John remained faithful to God's purpose. John's life ended tragically, but his influence was immense. He was the voice crying in the wilderness, pointing everyone toward Jesus. His story reminds us to turn away from empty living, to live honestly and with integrity, and to make room in our hearts for the one who truly saves. John's life tells us that true greatness doesn't come from comfort, fame, or wealth, but from courage, faith, and fulfilling the purpose God has given us. So when we think of John the Baptist, we can remember him as the man who prepared the way, not for himself, but for the greatest gift the world has ever known,